Castanova, his bodyguard, and his chauffeur was shot and killed after we left our stakeout this morning.
By who?
Well, we don't know, but it's strictly professional.
Almost caught up with the shooter down on Bayshore. This was in a briefcase he left behind.
It's a hit list, son. And you're on it. You're number 8.
That's what this is all about? Come on, guys. I need about 10 hands to count the number of times my life's been threatened.
There are 8 names on the list, Crockett. The first 6 are already dead.
Freeze! Miami Vice!
Fast cars, flashy clothes, big money, heavy players, and the hot Miami scene.
These were the main ingredients that made Miami Vice one of the most innovative shows of the 1980s. Journey with Tim and Mark as we take a peek into the drama series with an MTV feel on the Vice of Miami podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Vice of Miami podcast for show number 5. We're glad you're joining us today. I'm Mark.
And this is Tim.
And we hope you enjoyed our last episode covering Miami Vice Episode 3, Cool Running. Today's show covers Episode 4. Well, Tim, let's get on with the show.
Sure thing, Mark. This is, again, Season 1, Episode 4, titled Calderon's Return, Part 1. It was also originally known as The Hit List. It was written by Joel Surnow, directed by Richard Cola. The original air date was October 19th, 1984.
All right, this part of the show, we're calling it Etc., going over the plot, guest stars, co-stars, filming location goofs, music, and fun facts, and the trivia question. Covering the plot summary, Calderon, Crockett and Tubbs' old nemesis, hires a notorious Argentinian assassin to take out his largest competitors in Miami, and the Vice Squad soon learns that Crockett's name is on that list of 8 victims. Crockett and Caroline's divorce seems to fizzle out, or at least on a short hiatus, but certain events put everything back into motion.
Alright, and that music can only mean one thing. It's time to highlight the guest stars and list the co-stars for this episode. First up, we have Jim Zubinia as Ludovici Armstrong. Not much information as far as birth year and birthplace can be found. Jim is a worldwide accomplished expert marksman. His abilities impressed Miami Vice creator Michael Mann so much he enlisted Jim as firearms instructor for the actors. He also helped out Michael in Manhunter in the same type of role. When Nash Bridges with Don Johnson started, Jim was tapped to play a hitman. His handling of firearms in the Castanova scene, as well as others, were not rehearsed. He has appeared in other TV shows, including the miniseries Drug Wars Camarena, the MOW Long Road Home, Doogie Howser MD, and Falcon Crest, and approximately 48 commercials for various products. His stage career included national tours of Godspell and a 14-month stint with Les Miserables in San Francisco during the early 90s. Currently, he is retired on a 29-acre horse ranch in northern LA County, but still shoots with the Single Action Shooting Society as the Singing Cowboy.
All right, next up we have Ron Taylor as Linus Oliver. Born in 1952, Ron's an American actor. Taylor began his acting career with a role in 1983's Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. He was in the jail cell scene with Eddie Murphy and fellow Miami Vice actor Giancarlo Esposito. His first TV appearances were on a special featuring comedian Robert Klein and a voice role in My Little Pony, and then appeared in other TV series including Night Court, Wise Guy, China Beach, Twin Peaks, Home Improvement, then one of his more memorable roles as the voice of Bleeding Gum Murphy on The Simpsons. He also played a Klingon chef in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. His final film appearance was in 2001's Ritual. Taylor died of a heart attack on January 16, 2002. He is survived by his widow, Deborah Sharp, and a son, Adam.
And then once again, Belinda Montgomery returned as Caroline Crockett.
And now we'd like to cover some of the co-stars. I know in the past shows we didn't really highlight the co-stars, but I think from now on we're just going to cover them. We won't go into too much depth of them. First off, we have Jim Borelli as Felix Castronova, Tara King as Susan Castronova, Tito Goya as Carlos Mendez.
We also had Raymond Forcione as Don, Will Knickerbocker as Will Fields, Ken Little as Monahan, and Ryan St. Leon reprised his role as Billy Crockett.
Tim, I do believe Don, he's the desk clerk for OCB. Now we're going to highlight the music making an appearance in this episode. First up, we have I'm So Excited by the Pointer Sisters playing in the club, Tush by ZZ Top during the bar fight, and In the Night by Russ Ballard. That's when Tubbs is rushing to Crockett's house.
And then we had some Jan Hammer music that was highlighted in this episode as well, such as Chase, where the officers chase Ludovici Armstrong and Carlos Mendez. And then, once again, Crockett's theme, Crockett and his family were at the safe house.
Okay, let's check out some of the goofs. I found this one. It's kind of a goof and a location as well. Picture this in your mind. After the shootout and Castronova getting killed, the assassin, Ludovici Armstrong, he flees in a Camaro, and Switek running after them in the parking lot relays into his radio. The car is heading north on Brickell Avenue. Now, the building they're coming from is 2025 Brickell, known as the Atlantis Building. That's the building that has the hole in the middle with the red spiral staircase off on the left, depending how you're looking at it. Well, in a few minutes, you actually see the Camaro doing a spin out or U-turn at Brickell and Rickenbacker Causeway by the Miami Seaquarium and Key Biscayne sign. This intersection is actually south of the Atlantis Building and leads to Key Biscayne. You can even see the Key Biscayne toll booth in the background.
And then when Ludovici Armstrong is confronted by Nicky the chauffeur, he raises his hands and the shotgun he is holding in a gesture of surrender. In a subsequent close-up of Ludovici, we see him raise his hands again.
Immediately after this, when Ludovici shoots Nicky, the original limo driver, the wiring for the squibs that simulate the bullet impacts can clearly be seen coming from the bottom of Nicky's pants leg.
And then at the very end of this episode, when Tubbs says, "Calderone's in the Bahamas," the movement of his lips does not match the dialogue. Very common when it comes to the world of HDTV now. You see that a lot.
Okay, moving on to the fun facts really quick. Tim, you want to take this one?
Yep. This particular episode was preempted 1 week due to NBC airing Game 3 of the 1984 World Series between the Detroit Tigers and the San Diego Padres.
During the shootout in Crockett's home, the blank adapter fitted on the AC-556 assault rifle used by Zubinia, it came loose and was propelled from the barrel at a considerable speed directly towards the camera crew shooting the action. Fortunately, the camera crew was behind a thick perspex screen, they call it. Zubinia, however, was not so lucky as the adapter ricocheted off that screen and struck him in the shoulder with enough force to spin him around and knock him to the floor. Fortunately, he suffered no long-term injuries.
But I bet it left a mark. Then you had many characters in this episode wear members-only jackets such as Carlos Mendez, Ludovici Armstrong, and a few members in the club. Did you own one of those jackets, Mark?
I was just going to ask you, Tim, was this part of your and your brother's ensemble back in high school in Blue Island there? Did you have? I had a knockoff members on it.
It was definitely not because of Miami Vice, but at one point my mom bought me a jacket that I remember being like a light blue jacket and it had the members only on it.
Mine was gray, but it was not members only. It was a JCPenney knockoff. I was not a member of members only.
And neither was I.
Okay, moving on. Tito Goya, the actor who plays Mendez, the Argentinian hitman's handler, was charged with murder shortly after his appearance on Miami Vice for his alleged involvement in a homicide together with his brother in 1978. Goya died in 1985 before he could be tried, but his brother was found guilty of the murder in question and was sentenced to 20 years in prison.
And finally, let's highlight some of the locations in his episode. Mark, take it away on the first one.
First up, we have the Dade County Courthouse. We've already seen this. It's 73 West Flagler Street in Miami. That's where Crockett and Caroline and their lawyers meet for their divorce proceedings.
And then we have the Atlantis Building 2025 Brickell Avenue in Miami, and that's the scene of the Castronova killing.
And a lot of the chase scenes are along Brickell Avenue, especially the Hitman car chase.
And then we have the Nassau Suites Hotel, 1414 Collins Avenue in Miami Beach, and that was Armstrong's Hotel. If you do a Google Maps street view of this, you can see it was being gutted and is currently under renovation.
And we have the Freedom Tower at 600 Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. That's a tower where Armstrong was acting as a sniper, and he shot at Crockett, actually hitting Rodriguez instead. It now houses a museum of art and design.
124 Harbor Drive in Key Biscayne, which is the exterior of Carolyn Crockett's house. And the then and now images will be on our Facebook post of this episode, which will be really cool to see how things have evolved over these many years.
All right, it's time for the trivia section of our show. Going back to last show, we asked, how much did the lobster that Tubbs dumped overboard that was going to be served during the dinner on the St. Vitus dance cost? How much did the lobster cost? Well, here's your answer.
Tubbs, that was $28.95.
I hope he likes the local waters.
And for this week's trivia question is, what type of donuts were in the Freedom Tower and Carolyn's house that the hitman was eating? You can post your answers on this episode's Facebook post, or you can email us at viceofmiamishow@gmail.com. We will air some of the answers.
Okay, let's quickly go over the ratings for this episode. Ratinggraph.com gives this an 8.7. IMDb gives it an 8.7. And personally, I give it a thumbs up on this one, Tim. It's a good story so far, good action, a pivotal moment in the Miami Vice leadership. Rest in peace, Lou. It's a very good, solid episode, lots of action.
I absolutely agree, Mark. I give it a total thumbs up. It was very fast-paced. It was a quick episode that before you knew it, the hour was over. And I remember when I was watching it that very first time in 1984, and Lou Rodriguez was killed. That was a big shocker because the show was only within its fourth episode. You didn't expect something like that, but for whatever the reasons are, and maybe when we start doing character specific episodes, we'll try to dig up some information on you why Lou Rodriguez, or the character of Lou Rodriguez, the actor himself, why was he removed from the show? A writer's or a viewer's feedback on it, or maybe it was the actor himself. But we'll get back to you on that. The discussion part of our show here, we're going to break it down and do the main plot first, and then we're going to come back and do our subplot that's in there, and we're going to continue to do this throughout the remainder of our run. Where we're starting at is that we're finding out that several mid-level dealers are starting to get killed, even one that Miami Vice had their eyes on. They were, at the very beginning, they were watching Felix Castronova. They were doing probably a multi-day, or maybe they didn't really specifically say how long this has been going, but it started with Crockett and Tubbs finishing their end of surveillance. Then you had Zito and Switek coming in, thinking it's just going to be a boring day. That's where we come to what they witness, which was the bodyguard and the chauffeur. They were coming downstairs with Felix to go in a car.
Right. Like you stated, obviously they were surveilling Castronova, obviously, for quite a long time. Since they're in the apartment, you can see all the pizza boxes there, and it looks like looks probably like a dorm room, a male dorm room.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But obviously they were onto Castronova for a long time for whatever reason they didn't really get into. But when Zito and Switek take over, they do their little funny little shtick that they usually do. Hey, she's naked. Oh my God, where? Oh, she must have got dressed. Now, this is where Switek and Zito kind of got serious. They see that Castronova was on the move. He was going to go, I think they said, to his tailor or something like that. Either way, they see Armstrong essentially clip Castronova and his bodyguard in the back of the limo. We see the regular chauffeur come up because I guess he went off to the bathroom, they said, tells Armstrong to drop it. He's got him at gunpoint, and then Armstrong, being the good marksman that he is, he just caps that guy as well. Then the chase is on. Crockett and Tubbs are already gone. Zito and Switek, they radio to their chase team. They're on the move.
Yep, and the one thing that I found really puzzling about that, this guy's, he had to know something was up, that his boss was capped, and he's telling this guy, drop it. Why not just shoot him?
Right,
And,
exactly.
That's where Armstrong did that quick draw with his
he had no chance
with his semi, and boom, he had no chance. So then, the chase was on. Sonny was, and we'll come back to the subplot, but Sonny was dropped off at the courthouse. Tubbs gets word that there's going down. So they end up going to this possible living quarters, the motel, so when we're outside of Hitman's hotel, there were other patrol officers. They wanted to go in, guns a-blazing, and Tubbs said, nuh-uh, we got to wait for backup here. And that's just going back to our previous episode, Cool Running, where him wanting to wait for backup just out of caution saved officers' lives. Could have saved it, but he's, as we're seeing his character evolve, he's learning from past mistakes.
Right, exactly. He's learning from those mistakes. And this is what Rodriguez was harping about in last episode, and I think the episode before it as well. Where was the backup? By the book.
Suspect vehicle in Castronova shooting at the Flamingo Towers this morning has been spotted in the parking lot of Desiree Motel.
Castronova. That was my stakeout at the Flamingo Towers on Castronova. What the hell happened?
3 guys were wasted. We have a suspect inside.
Let's take him. Forget about the cowboy stuff. We wait for backup. Just send them a telegram and tell them that the police have arrived.
Brothers keeper, buy the book, Sonny. Wait for the backup. Don't screw it up. So, okay, Tubbs is onto this finally. He's clicking with the new crew. We're going to wait for the backup. But then, some patrol car comes, sirens ablazing, up to the front door. And then, well, there they go. They got to get in there. Tubbs goes in. And then Armstrong takes off. Get the short foot chases on. You can see how hot and humid it is down in Miami there because all the sweat gathering on Tubbs' suit. But after the chase to get the Castronova hitman and Armstrong there, the OCB team ended up at the apartment motel there. And then some of the officers, they find a notebook and they find a receipt. That notebook contains, I think, 8 names, correct? 8 names?
It was 8 names, and Sonny ended up being number 8. They didn't know that at the time. If you remember, they handed it to Rodriguez. He looks at it. He hands it to Tubbs, and he said, I wonder if he knows.
Right, that you could just see that look on his face.
That something was up. And it wasn't until they went to Caroline's house, and obviously Sonny was there, is where Tubbs and Rodriguez then tell him, hey, there's 8 names on the list. You're number 8. And Sonny was just like,
so what? Another day in the park for me.
Yeah, it's just another. Exactly, he just nonchalant. Hey, I'm always getting threatened. And they said the first 6 on the list are already dead. So that's where now we gotta, they're gonna put him in a safe house and things like that. That's where it comes down. Get Caroline and Billy to safety.
Exactly. Moving on, when they're doing their detective work, they find the fingerprints that are found in a motel room belong to an unknown assassin, Armstrong, with ties to several hits starting in 1974. But everybody and every agency is drawing a blank on the name and the face. They know it's one person, but they don't know who it is. Interpol believes he's an Argentinian, and then I believe they find a receipt with Mendez's name. Is that correct, Tim?
That is correct. Carlos Mendez. He becomes a prime suspect because this receipt was in the hitman's hotel room. And so now he's the prime suspect as being the sniper or the hitman. Now they're continuing the investigation at OCB, and Gina says that the DEA has a list of all mid-level dealers that are starting to expand, much like that Corky Fowler in episode 1 where he was just the low-level guy trying to be the intermediator.
Right. He wanted to take all the action for himself, but nope. He went bye-bye.
Exactly. He was going to try to do a ripoff of Calderone. At that time, he was unidentified as the Colombian. But there's one name on the list, a name of Linus Oliver. Crockett wants to go, I'm going after him, and then that's where Rodriguez basically clamps or grounds him and says, you are not going after him. You're too hot. You're staying here. And then he's like, no, you're going to be going to the safe house. So Lou takes Sonny, escorts him to the St. Vitus so he can go get some of his stuff. Then it's going to be on to the safe house. And you could hear Lou say that, let's stop at your boat to pick up things as they're heading out the door.
Right. That's very subtle when they're when you're watching the episode and you see this part, it's when they're walking out the door and it's very quiet. I'm taking you to the safe house. Let's stop at your boat to pick up some things. It was very quiet, very quick.
I'm checking out the safe house myself. Come on, let's move. First, we stop at your boat and pick up some clean clothes.
Because then I was kind of confused. When I first saw this way back in the day, I didn't notice it as well. I'm like, well, all right, why are they at this boat? I thought he was going to the safe house. There we go. You watched and you learned.
Exactly.
All right. OCB then receives an FBI photo of Mendez with Calderone. And this is where Tubbs has another flashback of his brother getting clipped.
That's Casa Larco right here in Lauderdale.
Yeah? Wait a minute. The man across from Mendez with the blonde. It's Calderon. Calderon. He's behind this.
And then he starts realizing that the assassin has the St. Vitus's address. And then we segue to where the assassin has set up camp in the Freedom Tower. And you could obviously see he was there for a while because he's passing his time with just coffee and donuts. Again, remember that's our trivia question for this week, what type of donut it was. And while
Easy.
Exactly. And while Crockett is gathering his things for the safe house, he answers a phone call, and then Lou gets shot instead of Sonny.
Except for the phone.
Crockett!
Lou?
Is it like what's the plane's called? The Warthog?
Yes.
By the time you actually hear the bullets, you're already shot. That's
right. Exactly. And then we move on. The story moves to the hospital where Rodriguez is in surgery. Eventually Crockett, he's tired of being grounded, sitting on his hands. He says, I'm going after Linus, whether it's with approval or not. And Tubbs is trying to implore him not to. He realizes nothing he says or does is going to stop Sonny from going out there and doing what he can. And he said, you can't go out there,
Hey, Crockett. Hey, where the hell you think you're going?
Find Mendez.
It's too hot out there.
What am I gonna do? Sit on some damn beach while Rodriguez hangs by a thread? That bullet he took was meant for me, Tubbs.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, man. You go out there, you're gonna end up right in here next to Rodriguez. You're not listening to me, man. You can't go out there, Nothing I can say is gonna change your mind, huh? All right, buddy. Let's both go get it.
And it just seems like at that point it was forced acting by Philip Michael Thomas. Nothing I could say would change your mind, huh? And then from there to Crockett and Tubbs leaning on Linus. And you want to take it from there, Mark?
After a short little cat and mouse game through the streets of Miami, Crockett and Tubbs catch up with Linus and his driver, pull him over, check his trunk, check the briefcase. Oh, look at that, a bunch of cash and cocaine. No, that's not mine. How'd that get there? So they start with talking with Linus. They lean heavily on him, or at least set up a meet, or actually they set up a meet, or at least they want him to continue his drug deal with Mendez.
No way, Jack. If you're thinking what I think you're thinking, no way am I gonna go in there tonight and get my face shot off. You're looking at a conscientious objection. No, man. Look, the dude walks in the door, you grab him. Simple.
Well, small problem. We don't know what he looks like.
Seeing as Crockett and Tubbs, they don't know what Mendez looks like yet. This is much like Crockett setting up Noogie in Cool Running. This time, Linus knows about it.
Exactly.
During this Linus, setup, Crockett, Tubbs, and Linus are walking down the street from the car, and you could see that Crockett is kind of paranoid or becoming paranoid. He's looking at all the windows, especially the high up windows. He's looking at his surroundings.
Right. And that's just that sense of that hypervigilance on his part, because obviously his boss was shot. And that's one thing that it was never for certain, was that planned by Armstrong, the hitman, to take out Lou as a message, or he just pulled the trigger too early because, he didn't have Sonny's line of sight. I mean,
right. That's
it was
a
really
good thought.
unclear with that.
That's a good thought. I didn't even think of that. Kind of giving Crockett a warning. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was unclear on that part, but either way, yes, Sonny was very hypervigilant, and then at one point we see that he almost shoots an innocent civilian just because he doesn't know when his time might be up, and then as
Exactly.
they
This
as he
civilian, I think, was just giving him his cigarettes, right?
right, exactly, and as they were walking away from that after he apologized, they pan out and you see Armstrong sitting on a bench, and he's basically just patiently watching, waiting for his right time that he's going to take Sonny out. And again, that might be just following him, studying
Right.
habits of Sonny, where he goes and what he does. But obviously he's looking to get to him, and if anything, he may or may not know that Sonny has a family, and he could have been, let's find out where the family is at, and I could use
Right.
them
I didn't think of that as well.
as leverage to get Sonny to come out of hiding and things like that.
Exactly. Okay, so moving forward a little bit, we've got Linus. He gets this the meetup set with Mendez, so they do this at the club. And while at the club, the bust is on for Mendez. While he's being arrested, we can see once again that Armstrong is lurking in the background. All right, so moving along a little bit here. We're back at OCB, Miami Vice, and everybody there, they think all is well as they believe they have the assassin in the form of Mendez. They've got him in custody there. So they think so everything is squared away. Everything's going to be good. Going back to Cool Running with what they thought were the Jamaicans, they ultimately have the wrong guy again. While they're there, Sonny's going to pick up Caroline and Billy at the safe house, again, thinking everything is done. They got the guy in custody, but nope.
And
meanwhile,
and then Tubbs is starting to sweat Mendez, who is not giving, he ain't giving him up anything. He denies being the button man. Then Tubbs receives a phone call from Homicide telling him that Linus is killed. So now they realize, once again, they have the wrong guy.
Yes, Tubbs. It's Homicide. Linus Oliver just got blown away in front of his apartment building. Oh, where is he? Where is he, Gina? We've got the wrong guy.
And they have to get to Sonny's family quickly. I'm sure the game plan was, I'm picking up Billy and Caroline, and we're going to go back to her crib. And then, that's where Tubbs is racing to get there. Well, Sonny, Caroline, and Billy return to her house. And upon entry, Sonny sees the donut on the floor. Now, there's one thing I found interesting, Mark, is that how did Sonny know that he was eating donuts and had coffee and things like that? Because
well,
they showed it in the Freedom Tower.
Right.
And then there was the shot, but the only thing that we as viewers can draw from that is that Sonny went up to the Freedom Tower and saw this.
Well,
or
I don't
somebody
know.
told him.
Right. Well, they didn't show that. They probably didn't know where the shot came from because Rodriguez died. He saw the glint, right? The glint in the distance that is always a sniper in shows. So he's the only one that saw it. So as far as they know, they didn't know where it came from.
Right.
But again, with Caroline, Billy at the safe house, nothing should have been out, let alone a donut and coffee. I'm sure,
right.
Maybe
and
Billy's eating a donut and the wife and Caroline's drinking coffee, but it looked rather fresh. So he knew something was up.
Right. You just got to draw these conclusions on that
right.
for yourself. But either way, he knew something wasn't right. And then, the assassin comes out. He realizes that somebody's in there. Armstrong comes out, just blasting. That's where he gets Caroline and Billy on the ground. And then he said, get the safer part of the house. And then that's where the gunfight is on.
Sonny tells Caroline, get to the safer part of the house. The gunfight's on. The guns are blazing, going back and forth. Tubbs comes to the rescue. He jumps inside as well. But then again, as all the good shows go, the assassin jumps out a window without a scratch on him. And he's met by a wall of fire by the cops who take him out.
And then we move on to morning. And that's where Tubbs gets a phone call letting him know that Lou Rodriguez is dead.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I'm glad they did that. Yeah? What? What? Rodriguez just died.
And then shortly after, Cock and Tubbs learn that Mendez gives up, that Calderon is in the Bahamas. And that's where Sonny says, how long is it going to take you to get ready? I'm always ready. That's where they head there because Sonny said, hey, that's only 60 miles away. And that's where we get the to be continued.
To be continued.
They finally broke Mendez down. Calderon's in the Bahamas.
That's only 60 miles away. How long will it take you to get ready?
I'm always ready.
All right, that was a Good part of the main plot there. Why don't we move along to the subplot? The subplot here, we kind of have two subplots. One's smaller, one's bigger. The very smaller one, Switek and Zito, they're proven to be more of an asset than the bumbling fools than they are to Vice when they're handling the bar patrons during the meet with Linus and Mendez, albeit in their own unique way, obviously. Rather than showing them, the 5, 10, 15, 20-second smart-ass comments they do, they're handling the bar. They handle the bad guys. Never mind the surveillance department at the beginning. Hey, she's naked. Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, exactly. But then the actual major subplot we have here is Sonny and Caroline preparing for their divorce proceedings, and that's when they were on surveillance at the very beginning. Sonny got he was Mr. Clean, put on that nicely what appeared to be a press suit, probably wasn't, but nice cleaner duds. Took that 3-day growth off, and then he's off for the divorce proceedings. And then
right, I think he wants to kind of shed that seedy, scummy Vice cop mentality to the other side that at least she was pressing in the last episode. Your lifestyle, you're dealing with drug dealers and hookers or whatever. I think he was just trying to shed that to make it look like, hey, I can be clean. So when I move along, got Crockett and Caroline while outside the courthouse with their attorneys. She wants to go talk with him. They seem to come to terms and want to possibly reconcile or at least be amicable without their attorneys.
No idea.
Look, the only reason we got involved with these clowns in the first place is because you want to move to Atlanta. I guess you think that's best. What the hell? It's only an hour's plane ride.
Oh, Sonny, I'm so turned around about all of this. Now I feel like maybe I'm being selfish about it. Billy does need to grow up with his father.
And then when this subplot shifts again, it's evident that they want to reconcile as the scene shifts to Sonny and Caroline in bed, and that was right before Lou and Tubbs came there to tell him he was on the hit list. It becomes even more evident when they're at the safe house and Caroline asks him to stay with them, and he says, I can't, Lou's been shot, he's in surgery, we got to get these guys. And then you could see it in her eyes that this is just another time where Sonny puts the job before the family. Right. And then as usual, she appeases him or acquiesces to his work lifestyle, we'll call it.
Caroline, I don't know what to say about last night.
It's not last night, Sonny. It's everything. You know I love you, but it's not going to work out.
Okay, so after the shootout at Caroline's house, Crockett and Caroline were in the car. Crockett says, I'm sorry about last night. Basically, I'm sorry about the shootout. And then she states that, it's not last night, Sonny. It's everything. I'm sorry, it's just not going to work out. Again, responding to him apologizing essentially for the shootout, his job, apologizing for his job, what he does. Sonny tells her, well, we'll have the divorce hearing reinstated ASAP. Okay, now we've come to the part of the show where we hope to inspire or enlighten everybody. Call it maybe Snerd's chalkboard of wisdom. In both the world of Miami Vice and our current world at large, we encounter many challenges that we work to overcome. In the interest of creating a family and friendly atmosphere through the show and our social media platforms, Tim and I would like to offer some parting thoughts, a simple quote, phrase, or words of encouragement or funny quip to you, our listeners. Because without you, our friends, we'd just be talking to ourselves. And we say friends because that's what we consider everyone listening. You are our friends, whether we have met in person or interacted on social media or not. Today, we leave you with the words of the great Nabi M. Common sense, critical thinking, fun, and talking in complete sentences will not be tolerated.
And with that, we'd like to bring this episode of Vice of Miami podcast to a close. Appreciate each and every one of you listening, and especially Kenny from MASH 477 podcast for helping us and guiding us on how to get this podcast started. We hope you enjoy what we have to offer on our shows. Please spread the word about us and comment and rate us on your podcast platforms. We'll see you next time for Vice of Miami show number 6, where we discuss episode 5, Calderon's Return, Part 2. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Vice of Miami Podcast, or email us at viceofmiamishow@gmail.com.
Please rate us and comment on the episodes and spread the word about the show. On YouTube, press the like button and subscribe bell.
Attention, attention! Are you a fan of MASH, one of the most groundbreaking television series in history? Then take a listen to the MASH 4077 podcast, where hosts discuss their thoughts episode by episode. They will also share with you some little-known behind-the-scenes information, trivia, and so much more. So come and find them on iTunes by searching MASH 4077 podcast or online at www.mash4077podcast.com.